Okay, here's a quick video of before and after. So this is one of my previous places, steel fabricator, structural and miscellaneous, and they did erection. So this is before I got there. This was how they did their estimating. So this is their basic estimate sheet, which to them was advanced. But they basically had this printed out on paper, and then they would handwrite in their takeoff, right? Quantity type, the size. Um, they might do the weights on the paper, but then they would transfer it over to here to this Excel sheet, and they would basically retype everything in. So as an example, I'll put in 12. They use TS for tube steel. Let's do 6 by 6 by 3/8. All right. Then they would have to look up in the uh, the data books the steel manuals for the unit weight. I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna guess. I have no clue. I'm just putting in a number. And then they would put in the linear feet for that piece. And then they would then they have generic guessing at the hours. They just 1 hour, hour and a half. You know the owner just liked to see certain times per item with no information, no backup, just rules of thumb, 1980 styles. And then now the only thing they did was if this was an erected item, you would say B, and then that would at least indicate that it was an erected item. So literally everything was retyped twice over. So you'd handwrite it, then you would go in and type it in the sheet. But you would have to again, um, if it was an angle, you know, 3 by 3, oops, by a quarter. You have to look up how much, what it is, the pounds per feet, and then you put the linear feet in, obviously, and then here's your total guess as to what that thing is. There was no real summation. I mean, there was just a basic, just total weight of different shapes, but that was literally it. Um, no analysis on the shop hours and really any of that. But you could see it's extremely cumbersome. Um, just the human error part of this was a great. They also had these miscellaneous sheets, sort of your smaller miscellaneous scope items or smaller steel items, and it was a very similar thing where you had to again hand manually type everything, look up the weight, manually put the weight in, and then here you put in your total guess of hours. I want 2 hours for this, I want 4 hours for that, and of course the argument was always based on people's experience, which I've continuously uh, shown that they don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, then down here was their unit price. They had this unit price book for stairs and railings. So let's say you had some stairs. I'm sorry, type in stairs because you had to type everything in. How many risers? Then you had to look up in a book, like this little book, a pamphlet really, for what their pricing was for that particular item. So railings. I'm just putting stuff in here. Now this thing I constantly argue with that there was no backup for where this came from. There was no analysis. There was no tracking as to was the unit prices correct. But anyway, anyway you can see how there's very limited space here available for each item. But anyway, I'm just showing before and after, I guess. And then here's your purchased items down in this space, and the general format, where everything's some here and then add down to here. So after I was there, which in some of the other videos you probably saw, well, something's going on there. There we go. So now in the structural takeoff, now we have an actual proper, basically a program. So you can, so we're picking out the items. Then plate. You can choose what the designation for what it is, just for takeoff purposes. Well, let's do base plates. Now this thing automatically puts in 4 holes for the times for this. I'll go over that shortly. But if it had additional holes, per each, so you can see how that went up. So it adds the additional time. And for that, now bend plate, there was also a bend plate. I'm gonna make this so it's not fit up and welded. I'm just gonna make this a regular shear plate, so there's no bends added into this. So you see the times are different because this one has time in there for bending and these ones don't. Pretty basic concept. Now if this thing puts in 1 bend, so if this thing has 2 or 3, so you'd say number of bends. If it has additional one more additional bend, then this time should, yep, 6.9. If it had 2 bends, I don't know, I think there's a maximum of 3 or 4, but so it is, and all these times I have time studies on, I have historical data, and everything comes from a database that can be reviewed and checked and adjusted and modified accordingly if you're keeping track of your times in your shop and you're tracking your costs and you're or doing time studies of some kind. But everything is pulled from from tables, from actual information. It's not some rules of thumb 1980s guesstimates. And then I mean the painting, it goes by the the surface area. I'm not going to go into that, but here's your square foot, your surface area if it's being painted. So everything is backed up. Here back in 1980s land, um, they literally would just take a per year. It was like $35 a ton for paint or something like that. It was didn't make any sense whatsoever. But anyway, so now we have actual times, everything's based off of something, some criteria, actual numbers. I'm not going to get into all the detail where all these formulas and everything that comes from. And then the miscellaneous metal sheets, something similar to the structural. We're now, this is just all W sections. And the fabrication is the hours are derived from looking at historical data for shop times versus weight and how much it is generally on a smaller scale for like a dollars per pound, but at least gives you hours so that you can. It's based off of something, some historical data, and then you can, if you feel like it, you can adjust it up or down. But anyway, then your unit priced items. Now we have what we what call assemblies, which I'm sure you're aware of assemblies. So they'll pull multiple items in. So you have the stringers, the platform. This is just a three line guardrail. You can change different types of guardrail and handrail and all that. But so in this fashion, it's obviously much quicker and more accurate. Purchased items, something very similar, which is pulling from a database. So, just something, a very, very quick video of the before, right? Before, and then the after. So, just a visualization so you can see, I guess, what I do. And there's other videos of this estimating program that I developed, but the most important thing is, where was this company before I got there? Where were they after I got there? And what was it? What was the impact? They had a significant increase in their sales volume. Um, mostly because we can take things off much quicker. Much larger jobs were significantly easier to take off and organize, and the information is more accurate. So we're bidding things at a much faster rate, and they're more accurate. And you're able to fine tune everything. Whereas this guesstimating, it's exactly what it is. It's a total guesstimate. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it for this. I just want to show you the before and after. Again, where were they before? Where were they now after I was there? So that's the most important part of this video. Thanks.